Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Andy. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, you're loud and clear, sir.
Good.
So, sir, I want to thank you for offering to give us a few minutes or some of your time today and take some questions from the PAs that we have in the CAF here today. I think it's important. This is the first time we've managed to have any sort of gathering with our PAs in the last few years. So this is actually a pretty special occasion. So, sir, I'll just turn it over to you. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for allowing me, I guess, the opportunity to engage with the group. Unfortunately, all I can see on my screen is myself. So I'd like to see the crowd, but I guess there's no way. So I hope there's going to be some interaction. If not, I'm going to feel I'm talking to myself, but that's fine. No, and I'm very sorry for not being able to be there on site. At least Chief Badar is there to represent me, but I've loved to be there and connecting face to face with you, you all. How many people do we have, Andy? Just to give me an idea.
We have about 30, sir.
Okay, that's pretty good turnout. Yeah, and I had the chance yesterday to engage with about 20 of our MOs that were at the Family Medicine Forum in Toronto. So. Great opportunity for me, I guess, to connect with different subgroups. I'm just going to say a few quick words, puis je vais le dire en anglais, mais évidemment pour les francophones, ça me fait plaisir d'interagir en français avec vous lors de la période de questions. Just to say a few words about where we are at, I guess, from an organization's perspective. Obviously, like the rest of the Canadian healthcare system, we're suffering a bit because of lack of people. We have lots of vacancies, as you know, and this is happening at a time where the demand is increasing. So this is challenging from that perspective. The good news is there is a lot of support to grow. So the challenge is to find the people to grow. Money is not the issue. We're able to spend the money we need to spend. We're spending quite a bit in attraction and retention, trying to bring the talent in our organization. One of the challenges we have is the retention challenge, which is all of us, our responsibility, I guess, to try to fight that unhealthy attrition, I guess, that we see with some of our people, and I'm sure the PA trade is not immune to that as any other trade. So what we're trying to do, and we all have a responsibility to do that, is trying to create or recreate, I would argue, that sense of belonging that we probably lost a bit over the pandemic because of our of lack of ability to connect face to face in person, because there's a limit as to what we can do by screen time in Microsoft Teams. So yeah, so that's where we're at. A few other good news is there's quite a bit of investment happening in the health services now, from not only the people perspective, but new capabilities that we're hoping to build in the near future. Thinking, 10 years down the road. First, we're working hard to the procurement of a new health record to replace CFHIS, which would be a great addition. I'm sure everybody in the room will agree. We're also looking at operational capabilities, looking at developing further damage control, resuscitation, damage control surgery, having a blood program to accompany that, all of that in the context of what's currently happening in the Ukraine, where we know that the old doctrine that we had is probably not going to work any longer in that context. And as you know, we're looking at expanding our footprint in Europe as well, on top of what we're currently doing. So that's going to keep us busy for easily the next decade, and we need to be prepared for it. And that's what we're working on. We've also invested quite a bit in governance at different level of the organization, trying to better structure ourselves to make better decisions, and ultimately to improve our credibility in front of the rest of the organization, both on the CAF and on the DND side. We started at the top and now we're slowly going down. You've probably heard about the split of the field ambulance that we've done in Edmonton. So our plan is to keep doing those split between operational and in garrison care with other field ambulance, with ultimately a goal to separate the health services group, the two HSGs, the one in Montreal and Edmonton, one being in charge of in garrison care and the other one being in charge of operational. We hope that by doing that, that would allow to have a better focus and therefore a better support from a chain of command perspective for all of the units under those two AOR. This may require some amalgamation of smaller units, but we're not there yet, I guess. No decision has been made there on that note. So that's it. All of that, obviously, the increased demand, the lack of people, the big gap that we have currently in the CAF is coming with its impact on people, you know, and you're part of that. Impact on our health and wellness overall. I'm concerned with the burnout rate that we see in many of our trades. So we need to find ways, I guess, to manage differently our business. We need to find ways to be more efficient in what we do, to reduce many of the non-value added activities that we do, like when we do the PHAs, for example. We know that there's a lot of things there that are not evidence-based, and we need to change that. So I'm going to challenge you all, I guess, to find ways to become more efficient and do less of those value-added activities. And one of the key elements of that, I think, is to make sure that our diverse workforce is fully employed within their scope of practice. And that speaks to the key leadership role you have with our medtechs. You know, our medical technicians need to be better employed, and we need you to help us out, I guess, with that. They have their responsibility. We need to support that, and we need to try to make it easier for them to work within their full scope, which will increase their morale in the end, because as we know, this is not always exciting what we're asking them to do, and I believe we have a responsibility to work on that. Resilience is another of my concern, and we all have a responsibility to maintain our own wellness and resilience as an individual. But what I've been focusing over the last few years at my level with my team is really to try to focus on organization resilience, trying to set the conditions so that the work environment is conducive basically to resilient people. And currently, because of the mismatch between supply and demand, this is not conducive. And that's why we're trying to look at options to either reduce the demand if we can, which is not an easy thing to do, or increase the supply, or at least change the way we deliver the supply so that the gap between supply and demand is not as big as it is currently. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you, hoping that this is going to stimulate additional questions. And I think indeed I would open the floor right away for questions. And Chief Bedard is with me as well. So if you're asking questions that are too hard for me to answer, I'm just going to throw him under the bus and he's going to answer on my behalf. Chief, je sais que vous êtes prêt pour ça, et vous allez être capable de saisir l'opportunité. All right, Andy, back to you. Am I alone on that call? Hello.
Your mic's not on. Oh, hello, sir. Sorry, we have crickets in the audience right now. Any questions at all? Oh.
I was afraid I was doing a monologue to myself and nobody was listening. So.
Hello, sir. Just want to thank you for taking the time for us. If you look around the room, I'm 44 and a lot of us have gray hair. And the current solution is to use two very fine universities to train PAs. But the current number of slots, at least by looking at the room, doesn't seem to want to cover attrition. I'm just wondering if we're either getting more slots or possibility of like you doing what we did with Nebraska, bringing something like University of Nebraska's program, like with University of Toronto, up to Borden or something like that. And I thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you. So who was that? Who was talking? Sorry.
Lieutenant Anstey, sir.
Okay, good. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so I don't have the full details on that. I know the Moses advisor is tracking the attrition rate and the prediction, I guess, of what we need in order to fill the gap. I can provide you the details on that. I don't have it. I know that there's a growth in the capacity in many of the programs in the country currently. And I guess the crisis that was precipitated by the pandemic is helping the PA, I guess, profession in some ways. There's many discussion happening now in many provinces, and I'm part of those discussions because they turn to us because we know how to employ PAs because we've been doing that for decades. And many provinces are contemplating the idea of not only using PAs, but all possible healthcare providers, but PA is definitely one that they're considering. So I suspect this is going to drive even more seats in those training programs and potentially more training programs as well in the near future. But I would turn this back to the Moses advisor regarding the prediction and how we're planning to fill that gap. And I don't know if anyone in the room is able to answer that. Andy, back to you, I guess.
Yeah, sir. It's actually one of the points that we're going to be bringing up later on in this meeting. I'm going to give an overall state of health of where we're at and where we're heading and what the next few years are going to be looking like as far as manning.
Okay. And obviously, this is being briefed at my level whenever there is a requirement for additional resources. Let's say we need to buy more seats and it's a money issue, then it's my role to figure out the way to secure those funding so that this is, I'm trying to remove the obstacle basically to make it happen and make sure that we don't fall too low, I guess. Because I agree. I mean, there is an older crowd of PAs that will retire, and we need to find how to backfill those vacancies. We're also looking at other alternatives, including, we've started a trial, a pilot, I guess, by bringing a nurse practitioner in uniform on the reserve side. The next step is to bring nurse practitioner in uniform as well to help, again, augmenting our team, diversifying our team, and hopefully being able then to meet the demands of the CAF as a result of that. Next question. Oh, that's a quiet crowd.
That's okay, sir. Major Williamson, PA in Petawawa. Actually, I'm the OC of Med Company.
Okay.
And
Nice
I have
to meet
a
you.
number of questions, actually. So I have a company I'm supposed to have 124 med techs, PAs, nurses, everything else. And right now I have a company of 76. So we're hurting for people.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have a roughly 10 to 12 ambulances. I have one.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of little things that like where's our priority here? Are we to get vehicles and people, or, it's a struggle, right?
Yeah.
And, we're struggling to keep med techs engaged and employed and wanting to be med techs. And they don't want to do it just because there's no vision. There's nothing. They're irritated, they're angry, they're disillusioned, everything else. And it really brings up like across the CAF, right? I mean,
Yeah.
We're bleeding people at an enormous rate and we're not bringing them in. We make all kinds of promises and everything else. And but the reality is there's a reality, and we're not filling that reality. And, it's super endemic across the board. And, what's the plan? I mean, it's super great that we have this new dress reg, but we can't get an ambulance. We could change the dress regs within a couple of years, but we can't get a freaking, fleet of vehicles. And so what's the priority here? What are we doing?
So I mean, all of what you're mentioning are priorities. We just don't have all the lever though to make them happen as quickly as we want them to happen. And there's lots of factors in what you just mentioned. If we start with the people issue, this is a lot bigger than just the CAF. As you know, there's people missing, and in all trades around the country, and hiring becomes is a challenge for everybody. And we're not the only one, obviously, in health services and having a hard time to hire new people. It's all over. I think that's the demographic crisis that we were seeing coming, I guess, for the last decade, that is finally here, and was kind of precipitated by the pandemic because of the many people that decided to either retire, to change their work rhythm in some ways, trying to probably have a better quality of life by working less. And all of that is putting a lot of pressure on our society. So we're not immune to that, obviously. And that leads to the fact that we currently have a gap for reg force of 10,000 people out of a force of 60,000. So that's a huge gap, which is expected to take 10 years to fill, by the way. So we're not out of the woods, and we're going to be in that level of pain for quite a number of years, not for 10 years, because we're going to get better before them. But before we resolve that, it's going to be taking time. Vehicles, I believe the plan is moving forward, and we're going to have new vehicle delivered in the next few years. I don't have the exact timelines there, but I'm sure we can obtain those timelines in the near future. Again, this is not ideal for sure, but we have no choice than to concentrate the few vehicles we have for the real operational needs of people who are deployed, or people who are actively training to deploy because of their road to high readiness status and process. So not ideal for sure, and that's where we need to be innovative, I guess, and trying to be creative in how to keep people interested. Easier said than done, I know, but at the same time, if we as leader, because you're all leader in this room because of your rank and status as I would say senior clinician, if we don't maintain a positive approach and a glass half full approach instead of a glass half empty approach, then it's going to be very hard for our junior people or subordinates to keep morale, and that becomes a leadership issue, and all of us issue in the end. I mean, and there's no easy fix there. If there was a magic wand to just put there, or if it was just a money issue, that would be easy to fix because lots of money is available. The challenge is it's more than that. It's finding the people that do not exist, basically. Sorry, I know it's not an answer to your question, but it's the reality,
It's a total reality. I mean, for me, the thing is that I can watch, the Air Force get bridge aircraft to, bridge them between the F-18s they currently have and then the F-35s they want to buy, but we can't bridge vehicles in between what we had 25 years ago and what we have now. So, it's a process. I get that. But the second issue is I have privates, corporals, master corporals, lieutenants, and second lieutenants that are struggling to survive and struggling to make ends meet. And our biggest concern is really blue hair and painted nails. So where are we going with all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you would agree, I hope, that we've not been in the past the most inclusive organization. So I believe everything we do now trying to be more inclusive is with the aim of being more welcoming to all different type of people, all of different minority groups, which in the end will make us stronger, because the more diverse we are, I strongly believe that this is making us more stronger and more representative of Canadian population as well. So, we've put that as a priority because there was a culture crisis to manage, but I strongly believe this will serve us well in the future. it's just going to take some time before it makes a difference, and but having a more modern military will never be a bad thing. To the contrary, in my opinion. So yeah. Okay, so but on the vehicle issue, let me check where we're at, and we can definitely send this back to the group about the roadmap, I guess, to bring us in a better space from that perspective, unless Chief Bedard has more information that he can share right away.
The question was asked. There you go.
Sorry, I can't hear that. Is there somebody talking?
Merci, mon général.
Oui, okay.
Yeah, to answer that question, unfortunately, I don't have the answer, obviously, but that question was raised and it's we're waiting for an answer. My hope are not too high on that one, but we know that is an issue. It's a multifactorial problem. The people side, and I don't like when people mix the issue together. It's not a separate thing, but the equipment is obviously a big thing because we're going to go to war. That's why we're here to support the effort and the mission. The people space, the identity, that's another issue, but it's addressed. We've been working on that for a long time, and those two are very important. I just want to realign your comment, Major. On that note, we will come back to you on the equipment side. Thank you.
Who's next?
Sir, I think that is it for questions for tonight.
Come on, there has to be more question than that. At least one more. At least one more. En français.
I don't think you want to hear it.
Sir, Lieutenant Ryu from the last graduating course of PAs.
Je savais qu'on aurait une question en français.
Wait, I'm going to ask the question in English because I know more about it in
correct.
English, sir.
C'est correct.
But the last graduating course and the previous graduating course, with the way commission happened, we're not being paid the same as the remainder of the PAs in the forces. There's a huge $15,000 to $20,000 pay gap. And I was wondering if that issue was forgotten or if there's any plan on rectifying this in the future. I know it's been a real issue for the last course and ours, especially with the way the economy is currently post-pandemic.
I wasn't tracking that issue, so I wasn't brief on this. So I'm going to need to know to become smarter, I guess, if I want to answer that. So sorry, I don't have the answer. Did you send me a short email summarizing that directly to me without and with our intermediary? Don't tell anyone, but just do that.
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, please. And I'll get back to you and the rest of the group. Unless Andy, you have the answer.
Bonjour, Monsieur Bilodeau.
He just asked me a question.
Oh,
I don't have the answer, sir.
Okay.
I'm good now? Bonjour, Monsieur Bilodeau, c'est Capitaine Boudreau, Catherine.
Hey, salut Catherine, ça va?
Ben oui, moi je vais vous
Ouais,
la
ça fait
poser.
longtemps qu'on s'est vu.
Ben oui. Je pense que c'est plus un commentaire qu'une question, c'est parce que j'ai pas j'ai rien contre les infirmières praticiennes, OK? Mais le plan que vous avez proposé un petit peu plus tôt, ce que j'ai peur qui arrive, c'est que là, les infirmières praticiennes vont avoir les positions de cliniciens au niveau des cliniques. Fait que là, nous autres, on va se ramasser, piller, puis c'est nous autres qui va faire les taskings, puis c'est nous autres qui va faire les déploiements. Parce qu'une fois de temps en temps, les pillés, on compte, quand on va avoir un break, on compte pour aller en clinique, pour travailler un petit peu, pour pouvoir rester à la maison. Mais s'il n'y a plus ce genre de position-là, ou très peu, on va tout le temps être envoyé à l'extérieur. On est fatigué. Puis là, en ce moment, un des commentaires que j'entends beaucoup des medtechs, c'est premièrement, ça a été une hache là, complètement. On a perdu du bon potentiel qui aurait pu devenir un pilier. Puis moi, je sais que de mon côté, j'essaie de les pousser pour qu'ils qui aillent à l'école, qui étudient, parce que je crois que on a le plus beau métier du monde, mais ils n'ont pas le temps. Fait que, tu sais, les gens qui veulent appliquer pour le programme de PIA, ils n'ont pas le temps d'aller chercher les crédits disponibles. Fait que, tu sais, moi, j'arrive en fin de carrière, je ne sais pas encore quand est-ce que je vais tirer la plug, là, mais il va y avoir un gros gap, là. Ça l'a été mentionné tantôt, là. On est pas mal des old farts là, dans la salle ici, là. On est toutes proches de la retraite. Il va y avoir un extrême gros gap.
En fait, je veux juste commenter sur votre commentaire. Je pense qu'il y a assez de job pour tout le monde. Fait que moi, je ne verrais pas de menace concernant l'ajout de l'infirmière praticienne ou d'infirmiers praticiens. C'est sûr qu'en uniforme, notre rôle principal, c'est de supporter les opérations. Ça va demeurer. Hein? C'est la raison pour laquelle on a des cliniciens en uniforme, puis on a des civils. C'est que les civils vont être la continuité dans nos cliniques alors que nous tous, on doit déployer. Évidemment, la demande opérationnelle présentement n'est pas si grande que ça, dans le sens qu'on n'a pas tant de cliniciens déployés partout dans le monde présentement. Ça peut changer, par contre, ce qui va faire une pression sur notre système si c'est le cas. Ce qui fait que, tu sais, il y a encore de la place dans nos cliniques. Il va toujours avoir de la place dans nos cliniques. On voit nos listes d'attente, comment elles sont longues. On voit comment les défis sont grands pour accomplir nos examens médicaux périodiques en temps et compagnie. Fait que je pense pas que c'est une menace. Puis les calculs vont être faits de façon adéquate aussi. Là. On a maintenant des meilleures façons de monitorer le horsepower, le clinical horsepower dans nos cliniques. Fait qu'on est capable de monitorer où sont les gaps, la quantité de ces gaps-là, puis le but est de remplir les trous. Mais je ne verrais pas ça comme une menace que vous allez perdre vos expositions dans les cliniques, au contraire.
Ces navires?
Comment?
Planifiez-vous d'envoyer des infirmières praticiennes ces navires? Parce que la demande opérationnelle est peut-être pas grosse, mais les côtes, ils sont durement touchés. C'est
ça le but, en fait. Le but, c'est que d'avoir des infirmiers ou infirmières praticiennes en uniforme, c'est d'être capable de les déployer. Là. C'est d'avoir un plus grand pool de ressources déployables, mais qui vont également être utilisées dans nos cliniques comme on le fait avec nos PIA présentement, comme on le fait avec nos médecins, comme on le fait avec nos médés. C'est ça le but. Le but, c'est d'avoir un plus grand pool, étant donné qu'on a de la difficulté de remplir toutes nos positions dans les métiers existants. Fait que en augmentant le nombre de métiers potentiels, on risque d'augmenter le nombre de cliniciens total ultimement, puis faire qu'on va être mieux positionné pour répondre aux besoins des forces armées canadiennes. J'ai pas de réaction.
Sir, I think that's it for questions.
Okay. So no, thanks everyone. I feel we finished on a bad note because all of the comments were negative, but I mean, it's a tough time, you know. I think we're all in this together though, and we all need to use our collective brain, I guess, to make this work. And your leadership, your Mosaic advisor are there to support you. They're there also to inform me of the ideas you may have and the creativity that you may come up with that will help us out to go through that crisis together. And I'm confident, though, that the right muscle movements are being exercised now to create a better future for us. We just need to make sure that we keep the morale, and we all have a role to play in that. As I said, you know, mentorship is something that needs to happen on a regular basis, and between each of you, the youngest and the oldest one, but also between you and the more junior medical technicians and other officers, I guess, that are joining our organization. So we all have a role to play in that, and we need to exercise this responsibility, seriously. Jean-Chef Bedard, aviez-vous quelque chose à rajouter?
Merci, mon général. Je prends l'opportunité. Là, vu que vous ne me voyez pas, je vais tourner mon dos à vous puis je vais parler à l'audience. Et je suis désolé que vous ne les voyez pas parce que c'est le fun d'être ici en personne. It's very nice to be in person. It's too bad that we have that limitation, that we cannot see each other. But anyway, I will try to live in an okay note. I don't want to put the expectation too high anyway, because I understand and I feel your frustration. And I think I'm a grounded person. Sometimes I have ideas and I believe that we can change things for the better, but it's important that you bring us your point and reality. It's crucial actually, and you have a role to play in all this. Don't think you're too old. Please, you're going to be there to stay with us for a long time. You're healthy. As long as you can continue doing it. I understand that you're tired, but that's our job to make your life better and to feel that you are still have something to give to the organization. So don't go anywhere because we're going to be even more in trouble. I know, but we're working on stuff. The important is to see if we're working on the good stuff, the right one, the one that have the most effect. And sometimes when you see that we're trying to do stuff that it seems weird to you or you're not connect with it, hopefully it will connect with other people that will be there for the long run. I'm just saying, it's my wish. C'est ce qu'on essaye de faire, changer les choses pour tout le monde. Puis les nouveaux, puis les anciens, it's a fine balance. It's a very complex problem. That being said, I don't know if you have some doubts. I hope you don't have, that we are there to listen to you. And we have channel and you have wonderful people in those places that will be able to connect. So we connect together to see and to check and balance the way ahead, because we will not have a second chance at this one. Les temps sont durs et c'est critique. Okay? But please, restez, faites la différence. Il y a encore de la place pour tout le monde. Merci. Qu'est-ce que vous faites en passant? C'est extraordinaire. Je le sais. Puis ça vous change la vie des gens. Vous êtes des leaders, vous changez la vie des gens à chaque jour. Lorsque vous voyez des personnes, ils ont besoin de vous. Puis mais c'est dur. C'est dur de faire ce métier-là. It takes a lot of energy, but the reward is don't you ever doubt yourself that you change people's life. Puis c'est noble. So now, for the medtechs and the young that we had the chance, and most of us were medtechs, it's very hard to see what's happening right now. I don't know for you, but for me, it's heartbreaking. And we need to find solution to give them time so they increase their education to go for it and become PAs. We changed the track, but maybe we did not align everything. We did not them to have success. But it's okay. We know if you have any idea to change that path or initiative that we have time and we're looking for those answers. So, okay, si vous avez des idées, amenez-les en avant parce qu'on en cherche. Il faut que ça change. Scope of practice of MedTech, your scope of practice. If you don't work in your scope of practice, where you're working, we need to know that too, because everybody should work at the full extent of their scope of practice. Dans tous les métiers. Il y a de la job pour tout le monde, the job for everybody. And together, we're going to make a strong team. So be open to new ideas. But if we have ideas that doesn't have the effect, please let us know. Merci, c'est tout. Merci, Général. Andy?
Ouais, non, merci, Adjudant-chef. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity, I guess, to hear your concerns. This is not forgotten on me for sure, and perhaps Andy and maybe with Stuart, we could get in touch once you're back from the conference, so we can put our brains together and see how we can engage better, I guess, our PAs and have good ideas coming our way, so maybe we can use you, I guess, to inform where we need to go. So yeah. Anyways, I'll just say that we're all in this together, and we need your brilliant ideas, and hopefully we can make it a bit better until it gets a lot better. Back to you, Andy.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say thank you very much from all of us for taking the time out of what I know is a very busy schedule and answering some pretty frank questions with some clarity and honesty. We really appreciate that, sir. And enjoy the rest of your weekend and your upcoming trip.
Thank you. Take care. See you soon. Bye.
All right. Now I'm going to sing a little song to get everything warmed up for our next event. I'm just kidding. A dance, everything. Okay. Are we good to go still? Okay. Yeah. Use the mic. So I detest using mics. I tried to get around it, but it's the only way that they can hear us online. So I'm going to try to keep this fairly short. I want to pass on some stuff that is being worked on right now. I want to give you a little idea of where the trade is right now, give you some time to ask some questions. I guarantee you I'm not going to have all the answers, but I will take all your questions and I will get the answers. So if I don't give you the answer that you want right now, it's because I'm brand new in the job and I'm just learning all the ins and outs, but I will get what you need, okay? So probably a lot of people don't really know me, and that's because for like the last 12 years, I was in CanSoft and I totally ignored health services and just kind of focused on what I was doing there. And I'm just getting reacquainted with health services, what's been going on, policies, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as the way I'm going to do business for everybody in our trade, I'm the MOSID advisor. I'm also a staff officer for primary care. You have absolute open access to me at any time you need. Okay. You can phone me, you can email me. I do recommend that you talk to your regional PAs because most of what I can give you answers for, I've already talked to them about. But that's not a barrier to coming to me directly. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to make sure that everybody understands. The next thing is that if you hear that the MOSID advisor has said no to something and that's why it's not happening or you're not getting it. 3 occasions in the last few weeks I've heard that and I don't even know what they were talking about. Okay, so if you hear the MOSID advisor said they can't have that course or they can't do something, please just confirm with me because somebody's using my name in vain out there. Right. So no, but it's happened. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. Like, I didn't even I don't course load anybody. So it was weird that I was used as the reason why somebody couldn't go on a course as an example. I was like, what, wait, what? So anyways, reach out to me and just say like, hey, Andy, is this a thing? And I'll be like, no, that's not a thing. Okay. Okay. So let's talk really quickly about the trade where we're kind of sitting right now. So we have 120 positions. In those 120 positions, we have 1 ATL credit, which brings us to 121 total PA positions. There are 9 major positions and the remainder are lieutenant captain. As you are probably tracking next APS, we will have 2 light colonel positions. Okay, so which is really awesome for our trade. Where we're sitting as numbers is not where we're sitting with positions. So we have approximately 30 vacant positions right now across the board. So on a piece of paper that I read, we're at about 85% strength. I don't think that math is really accurate anymore. On top of that, I'm also tracking that we're probably going to lose another 4 people to retirement in the next APS. I just haven't seen messages and such yet. Right. So as you can see, our numbers are getting pretty low. And I say we as a group, not me specifically, it was expected that we were going to go into a dip as we stopped our program and trying to catch up with production on the other end at the 2 universities that we have positions right now. We have 2 people that are expected to graduate next APS, clearly not going to meet our attrition numbers, and 5 the year after that. How many people are going in September? I don't know yet. The files have being put through. I don't have any say on those files. They're going to go through the recruiting process. As long as they meet the criteria, they'll go through it all. And then I should find out mid-December how many files have been approved, and they're going to be going through to the universities. You saw earlier today, there's only like 69 spots in Canada every year for PA. So, you know, we don't have a lot of options right now. We are currently working on trying to get Manitoba opened up as well for PAs, for our guys to go there, and direct entry as well. We potentially have another person there. I think they're in year 2 that wants to join the CAF. They're pushing that administratively right now. For Manitoba, whoever goes through Manitoba will need the full degree, unlike the other 2 schools, because it is a master's program at this time. Make sense? Okay. So we have some very serious pressures for some operational areas that require PAs. I've sent out an email to everybody kind of alluding to what the problem is. The biggest problem we have right now is West Coast, who are in desperate need of PAs to sail ships. It's a highly operational unit, and they can't operate without a PA on the ship. The ship is like a unit. An example that was given to me, which resonates, is you would not send a battalion out without their medical staff, but people are thinking that you can do that with a ship, right? A ship is a big unit. They can't go out without their PAs. They are at minimum 7 PAs short right now. They got people jumping from ship to ship, trying to keep operations going out there. It's unsustainable, and it is something that we have to address. We also have positions in CANSOF, another highly operational place that needs more staff to be able to operate. Okay, so those are the 2 major operational kind of areas that we are pretty short on. I know we're short on a lot of other spots, but in the clinic scenario, there's other options to fill those. In the operational spot, we're in, right? We can't hire civilians to go onto the ships. We can't take a civvy nurse practitioner and put them into CANSOFCOM and send them out on operations. It's just not a thing. Okay. So what does that mean? Means we're going to be making some tough decisions. When I say we, I mean me and the career manager. People are going to have to move. Okay. There's no getting around it. I am fully aware of people's circumstances, i.e. their family circumstances, their living circumstances, kids in school, et cetera, okay? No, I am not going to make any decision haphazardly. I'm going to look at the totality of the situation, and we're going to start having to make some movements. In my email, you saw I said something about MMO positions. Okay, so I think we have 6 or 8, not actually 10 MMO people in MMO positions right now. Okay, those are positions that aren't PA positions. The reason why they were created is because, as you know, a year or 2 ago, we had 30 extra PAs. So it was easy to give people PAs where the clinics were really desperate to put people in those spots. I can't, in good conscience, look at people in MMO positions or the MMO positions and say, yeah, you can keep those people, but the coast, which is desperate for PAs, you can go without. Doesn't make any sense from an institutional point of view. Okay. So what does that mean? People are going to be moving. I know it doesn't make anybody happy. I can tell by the daggers that I'm getting in this room, but it has to happen. Yeah.
There was quite a few people that were there for whatever reason. So it seemed like there was a lot of people, like it is an arm basis where you have people that go out and people that are based. So there's a big discrepancy in that. Now, for other places, fine, but Esquimalt is a very expensive place to send somebody.
Yeah.
And housing is like, there was privates who were like trying to find housing. There needs to be some kind of incentive for somebody to go there when, you know, the amount they're given isn't enough to cover that difference.
100% understand and 100% agree with you. As far as having people that are there that aren't sailing. There's a lot of people on each coast that are unfit for sailing right now. So they're not helping the situation as far as the ships go, okay? The housing issue, something we'll have to look at. I don't know the answer. I don't have an answer for that. And I understand, especially. Yep, I know. There's not enough PMQs. Mhm.
I think there needs to be a guarantee house for them there, so they don't have that. You know, you can say, okay, we can send you people for the kids, but we need to provide them with a PMQ that will house their family.
Sure, that is completely out of my control. No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I will make. That is something that we're considering when we're talking about moving people around. 100%. I don't think I can afford to live out on the West Coast. So I clearly understand how everybody else is in the same boat. Boat. Come on, give me that one. Okay, I've beaten that one down enough. That ship is sailing, right? Okay, so listen, I don't want to upset anybody but I'm being frank and I'm being honest with you, and that's what you're always going to get from me, whether it's something you want to hear or not. You're still going to get the honesty out of me, and I will take the anger too. I'm perfectly okay with that. Okay. Already,
I want to bring you solutions, Andy, because
all right, go.
I wouldn't want to be in your shoes and I wouldn't want to be in a career manager's shoes because there's familiarity, there's friendship and all kinds of things. Okay, but we're, you know, gonna switch your hat and you gotta think about why don't we just CFTPO the ships that are sailing? I'm sure people can stay in that same area and would love to go on ship, but just like a problem with housing, problem with moving families and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm sure there's tons of guys in the room that would love to go on ship, 6-month tour.
Yeah.
And then come back to, you know, that kind of thing.
So that's-
Do rotations, right?
It is definitely a potential option. The problem that was brought up to me about that was that you can't just jump into a ship without having doing the training and being on ship
You
before.
can't jump in Ukraine or
Yes, you can.
Afghanistan.
Hold on. Well, I get it. Ship is a unique environment that requires training before you can go out on it. Okay, that doesn't mean it's a non-starter. Okay, I'm telling you what I talked to the people out on the coast. Okay, I don't have Navy experience, so I am repeating what was told to me. Yeah.
Next thing I know, training, go replace a key in the ship. And then I never said to put in this one, to go for it.
Awesome.
Never trained on the ship, so I don't see why it's impossible.
I never said it was impossible. Never said that at all. I said it's not ideal. It's not what should happen. Is it a possible solution? Yes. It'll be something we can look at. But the ideal solution is to have somebody posted into the billets that we have. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, it's a bit to support that, and you also, I know you need people and you can try to figure if some are ready to go there. But at least this is a really good idea to bridge until.
Absolutely.
The site. So that will relieve a bit of pressure, but that doesn't mean then you cannot search for people going, but at least.
It is something we'll consider. Yeah.
You are going there because I'm really close to leave and you tell me you go there without like advice. I'm done. I'm just.
Everybody's already told me they're going to quit if I post them. Everybody, right? So it's not I'm not taking it as an idle threat, but understand I don't think 100 people are going to quit the army tomorrow, but I get it. I do. Okay. And that's, to your point, we're all getting old. We all have a lot of time in. We all, most of us or a lot of us are pensionable right now. Yeah, I know, this is what I'm dealing with, trying to suss this out and figure it out. Okay. Ack. Yes.
I just want to elaborate on that point and maybe add another one. It is the way that's going in Halifax. I arrived there and went right on the ship with no training, nothing, just that's your ship, get on there, you're sailing tomorrow. That's the way they are doing it in Halifax. Second point to that, that's what the doctors are doing as well. In fact, they're not just doing short sails, they're doing whole deployments, having never seen a ship before. So the CrossFit projection a few months ago, Dr. Redfern showed up from Gordon. did the deployment having never seen a ship before and then went back to boarding. So the doctors can do it, I think.
That's not the right way to do it.
It-
I acknowledge it. I'm acknowledging you.
The other part to that is, if it's gonna be an issue, if we do shorter deployments, it might be, or splitting deployments. I thought it was a great idea that somebody said, hey, why don't we not go it down to 3 months? And I think a lot of the ship sales can be doing that as well. They come into port all the time. You can switch up your PAs if they need to go back to their own base. I think it's a definite part of the solution.
Sorry,
Okay.
I just want to elaborate too. And I think it'll fall in line too, along with the vision where the like the Canadian Armed Forces are going to, because now. I don't know, there's some conflicting visions there with the CDS where like, oh, we're gonna, you know. Shut off all the operations and everything else and just kind of concentrate on what's going on bare bones in Canada. But, you know, Ukraine, Europe want to talk about expansion, so I don't know, whatever, but I think that would be like. It falls in line with what's happening, and we're gonna have to evolve, whether we like it or not. It's gonna be painful, but for right now, the way things are going, not just in our trade, but everywhere else in the Canadian Armed Forces, it's unsustainable. We can't keep going on. You can't keep posting people every 2 years to this place and that place and all that. Family in tow. I think we're gonna have to change our ways of doing things. And that's an approach, right? And you never know, we might have some people here, you're like, hey, I like sailing, post me there permanently.
Oh, they will be.
With a smile on their.
No, I acknowledged. Got it. I got it. I'm still gonna try to post people, just so you know. Okay, but understand your point. Sorry, I'm not supposed to use the one finger. I'm supposed to use the hand so it doesn't look as aggressive. Okay, understand your point. I'm sorry you got thrown on there like that. That just wasn't fair. Yeah. So the other problem with CFDPOs, just so you know, is they're incredibly hard to fill for PAs because we're not the fittest group of MOSIT out there right now, as far as our general health. And a lot of our taskings are very difficult to fill because of that. Just throwing that out there. Okay. I'm going to keep going here. So a couple of years ago, PA regulation, remember when that kind of pre-COVID came out? And they had 2 trial spots on it and then it kind of disappeared. Okay, it's back. And I will be conducting a series of town halls in about 2 weeks. I'll start putting out dates. I'm going to do 3 town halls, basically an East Coast timing, Central and West Coast timing. Everybody's invited to any one that they can make. You have to make one, or else we can talk offline if it's completely unavailable. I'm going to send out the paperwork prior to, so that everybody can read, come up with their questions. And then what we're going to do in the town hall and hopefully we get the doctor's involvement and pharmacists as well, because there's going to be lots of questions. We're going to go through the paperwork. We're going to show how the sign off is going to work. We're going to go over the policy. And then as soon as we're done that town hall, it's live for you. Okay. And that's the way it's going to be. So I'm not going to go into great detail because I'm going to send out those forms to you. You can read just as well as I can. You can bring questions up anytime you want. You can, and I would love it if you read it and just went, Andy, I don't even understand what you're saying in this. We'll sort it all out. And then we'll have the town hall. We'll walk through it step by step by step. I'm going to have the NPL pharmacist with me and a couple other people to answer questions. And then it's going to be live. And that's going to be the way we're going to be conducting business as regulated PAs from now on. Okay. But everybody's familiar with what I'm talking about, so it's not a surprise. Just a little nod will get me going. Okay, good. The other thing is, there's, I think it's Manitoba is now requiring licensing. Is it because they're a regulated province? Is that correct? Somebody from Manitoba here? That's correct, yeah? Okay, so with the licensing, you are going to end up having to have your CAPA membership and you're going to have your licensing for whatever province you're in. It's going to be covered. So don't freak out that you're gonna have to fork over like $1,200 for licensing in your province. There's already mechanisms being put in place so that will be reimbursed just like your CAPA fees. I imagine that there's going to be significant paperwork involved, but it's all pensionable time, so you'll be fine. Okay. That's it for that. So, one more thing. So I sat on my first succession board a couple weeks ago. Wasn't daunting at all walking into 16 people sitting there, all colonels deciding our fates. So the succession boards are used primarily to pick out senior leadership within health services and course loading on some of the national courses like second language training, JCSP, and courses like that. The one thing I got out of that I want to make sure that everybody is tracking, especially some of the newer people. If you have aspirations of a command position, i.e. a CO, which we have every opportunity coming up for, you must have second language training. Okay. And I think the very bare minimum is Bs for most spots. But if it doesn't matter if you're a major, if you get to the like colonel level, if you do not have a second language profile, it is not going to happen. That was made very clear to me during that succession board. So I want to make sure everybody's tracking that. If that is where you want to end up, you got lots of time to work on it. That's it. So we have 1 ATL credit for second language training or JCSP a year right now. We've requested 2. Hopefully we'll get 2. That's it. So yeah, I know. I see that look on your face. You're like, that's not fair. I need it, but you won't give it to me. No. That's how I felt too. So we're going to look at who we think like succession wise has depth to go up to that CO level. But in the interim, if you're not getting that ATL credit, it's something you'll have to work on your own.
Will we be able to do that as some kind of compensation, like $500?
Don't know. I will ask. Yes. At the very least, it'll be a tax write-off. But that it's just a fact, right? And you know, yeah. So I brought that up and I got shut down hard. And you know how I got shut down hard? There are people right now working full-time senior staff officer jobs while doing DL, JCSP, and working on French. And I was like, okay, I can't answer that. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that's fine. That's right. Yes. This is what I mean when I say you have to work on it on your own. Okay. If you can get time off at work, awesome. Right. If you can't, then it's just like, you know, most people who go on and do a master's, they do it while they're working part-time on their own. Right. So if that's what you want to do, that's what you have to do. Okay. Yep. Who's got a question? Glenn Stryker?
Hey, sir. It's Cat Striker for Greenwood. For this town hall for the East Coast stuff, I'm even going to be on dive bed at the time you're planning to do those. Just tee up with the regional PA then, or what's the plan?
Yeah, you can, whoever your senior PA is, and if that doesn't work out for you, just reach out to me directly and I will do a one-on-one with you.
Sounds good, sir.
Sorry, he asked first. Same thing. If you can't get it officially, or your regional PA is not available, like a senior PA, then just reach out to me and I'll walk you through the process. No problem. That good? Oh.
So I have all the paperwork and what's required by CPS and B for the medical book PAs. Mine has been approved by the college in terms of claims. Has it already been approved by the treasury board? For what? My provincial license has been a lot of
Whoever that is, just tell them to. Okay. Just send me an email detailing that. I will send it up to the national practice leader and make sure that it gets taken care of. And I'll do that on Monday. Perfect. Okay. That's all I have. So does anybody have any questions for me or attacks? Like, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, so just to go back to a funding question that. So, you know, you kind of said, oh, we'll make the $500. I noticed.
I never said anything about paying for anything or $500.
Thing is I use a lot of the references that CF has paid for in the past, like PEPID and, you know, PPF and whatever. And in the last 3 months, CF has stopped funding all those references. So.
They didn't stop.
So I log into it, the website says that.
It's
your
expired.
Organization no longer has an active subscription.
For which one?
CPS, Dynamet, PEPID.
Okay, so PEPID I can respond to, the other two I can't. Okay, so let's just quickly go on the French thing. Just there's another option for you too. There's block training available that you can get on part-time without needing an ATL credit for. You just need to negotiate time with your boss. Okay, that's free. No, they start at, they have all levels. No, it's not Allies Web. It's with the actual school. Okay, but there's Allies Web as well. So with PEPID, what had happened with PEPID, remember I walked into this, okay? So just don't throw too many stones. The way that they were funding PEPID was wrong. So they didn't do the contract properly. It breached policy. So they have to redo it. So that whole file was sent up where it gets sent up to and is being worked on. I don't know where it's at right now. It's out of my hands. It never was really in my hands, but it's out of my hands. But PEPID is being worked on.
Well, what about all the other references? Because, you know,
I don't know.
Past that you can't get the update on it.
Yep.
I've had a number of people that pay for it in pocket, but if we're getting into the whole thing where, you know, people are starting to get tight for money, you know, and then all of a sudden you have to start showing them $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 for a reference.
Five.
How much? And how many people here pay for up-to-date out of pocket? Okay, guys, how much is this? If you don't mind me asking, how much is 500? 700.
So I do know. So as far as the PEPID goes, that's the one that we've covered in the past, and they're trying to get it going again. Up to date, I don't think they're ever going to pay for. So if you want up to date, you're going to have to get that yourself. I see your hand, Shane. Just give me a second. Also, if you go on the Canadian Fourth Health Services Medical Library, has everybody been on there? I do believe there are some medical references on there that you can use free of charge as well. I'm not saying they're as good as the other ones. I'm just saying that they're there. I understand you don't want to fork out a ton of cash for your references. Totally understand. The only one that I'm tracking that is going to be covered eventually is PEPID.
It's sort of general like I go Medscape. It's great.
Medscape is free, yeah. And you can also update that version as well. Okay. I know that's not the answer you want to hear.
Not really, because I've had my face.
You've had what? Sorry? What if you had thrown in your face? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
They thrown in my face because I'll get another clinician say, well, it up to date, it says this, well, I said, well, I don't have it, I don't have subscription. You know.
Yeah.
So, and you need to get
You need to get what? Yeah. I don't know. I'm just a motion advisor. I don't know what you want me to say. So are you saying you guys think you should have up to date? Is that what you want?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll ask. I'll support it 100%. What is PEPID or up to date? I don't know.
It comes up every year.
Okay.
The big thing I bought for 3 years, I saved money for the time, but then they stopped that and then they stopped.
Okay. Was it funded before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody had access.
This is the problem though, is the way things like that were being funded was wrong.
That was 5 years ago.
Well, I'm just jumped into the problem to this week. Yeah, please do, please.
And if we put out a call for free or for different reference libraries to provide us a CAF specific medical reference piece, and it was going to be for MOs, nurse practitioners, PAs, and it would be, you know, whatever. Problem is, if we started it in 2019 in the fall, and then the whole lockdown hit. And I have no idea where it is now, but we had MOUs, we had, you know, everybody was putting in their whole bits and everything else. We had, I think, 2 reference libraries that include bids and everything else, but I don't know where it sits right now. But I can tell you right now, the intent is for health services to cover the cost of up-to-date or whatever have you in the future. I just don't know when.
So just a question, and I honestly don't know this, so it's not a gotcha question. Is up to date something that can be covered through CPE money?
No, they won't let us.
Okay. Okay, just asking. Okay, all right, made a note. I will look into references like up to date. And I'll do what I can for you. Understand, like, you know, limited control and power, but I will definitely push it forward.
Even if you buy 3 years at a time, save money over the long
Yeah,
run.
but they don't, that's not how the army works, right? Like, they never do it that way, but yes, AC, I'm on it. Okay, and I will also make sure that you're updated, not just I'm on it and you'll never hear from me again, okay? Just so you know, I am not going to him like that. I'm not going to him like that. But it sounded like honestly, it sounds like he wants me to have a meeting with him, right? So I'll bring that up as like, that's one of those solutions that he has money. That's one of those solutions that maybe we can fix right away. But again, something like up to date, depending on what the cost is for all of us, it has to be a contract with a statement of work and everything else, right? Like you can't just say, yeah, can I get 100 up to date? Just because he has the money, it doesn't mean that's the way you can spend it. And that's what the problem we ran into with Pepin.
Quick question, like, why are we doing this on an individual basis and not just as a collective group? So, for example, I know there's some groups of hospital that have, when you log on to their documentation program, whatever they have up to date built into it, so they can have.
Correct, yeah.
How come we don't have that as an institution?
Don't know.
Instead of with individual.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pardon my ignorance.
So I know,
Like,
when I worked in CanSouth, we had up to date, but I think they bought the license for that organization. Right? So,
Health services needs to have a subscription with you.
sorry.
Health services had a subscription up to date.
Yeah, fair.
Until they decided not to.
Okay.
Well, they didn't decide not to, it's the librarian and whatnot, comptroller health services. There was issues with that, and it was not that, that was the problem. We have a librarian at health service headquarters, and for some reason between her and at the time, and the comptroller, we felt like.
The library is the distributor, not the purchaser, right? That's the big thing. That's right. So the library facilitates, you know, the references, but not the actual contracting and all that for that. Regardless, it's in my book, it'll happen. I mean, I'll look into it, it'll happen, not I'm going to make it happen. Gerald, give me some love.
You guys have an opportunity for demand positions. My understanding is you have to do an HSO course for that.
No,
No?
not necessarily.
Okay, because right now there's no room for us to do an HSO course.
I know. So this is one of the things that Stu Russell and myself are looking into and working on. It's not like the top priority. So just so you know, it's not happening tomorrow. But one of the working groups that I'm on right now is the criteria or pathway for any trade colonel positions, as an example. And it's coming up with courses from lieutenant or courses and experience from lieutenant up to major, then lieutenant colonel and colonel. common to all our trades because before that, all health services trades were kind of doing their own thing to prepare people for those kind of positions. All right. Remember, right now for us, everybody always says, well, the PAs can't be COs. They are not COs. Well, that's because we weren't officers before. And that's because we didn't have majors before. And that's because we never had lieutenant colonels before, right? That's all changing. So is it going to happen next year? No, but this is something that we are pursuing hard. We got majors who are now OCs, never happened before, right? This is a huge deal for us. It's just OC, the next step, you know, DCOs/COs, like maybe we need to get some of our captains into adjutant positions to build up that skill set. You want that job? Okay. Yeah. Hello, Tim.
Offline digital references for ships.
I have nothing. But what does he have an example of what he's looking for? Besides up to date, thank you. I got up to date written down. Yeah. Is there anything specific that he wants me to look into? Okay. Okay. If he does, I'm more than happy to. Yeah. Horrible. Horrible. Yeah. So 100%, this is something that I've been, so do you guys know what AMOR is? I don't know what the acronym actually means, but it's where we present, everybody across the Army presents where their trade is. They do scientific modeling of where it's going, what the recruiting, what the recruiting forecast is looking like, and just overall health of trades over like 5-10 year period. And one of the things that is involved in that is the direct entry. So we've been at the universities now for 3 years, and we've had 0 direct entries. I think we've had a reserve direct entry, but we haven't had any. Talking with Wendy Strain, who's outgoing, one of the big dissatisfiers, this table, please don't get mad right away, was the entry level pay. So if you looked at the entry level pay for a lot of the jobs, and specifically Ontario, because that's where the universities were, our entry level pay was not horrendously less, but it was lower enough that people weren't interested. They weren't even super interested in the whole package, right? When people are brand new into something, they're just looking at that, what is the pay? And understandably so. And so that, I think, kind of moved people away. So I've been talking with, so the first conversation I had was a recruiting bonus. And right now PAs do not qualify for recruiting bonus coming from direct entry. That may change after this AMOR because our trade is starting to go really into the red, but understand before we weren't in the red, so there was no reason to offer a recruiting bonus, right? So right now we're not on the list for recruiting bonuses. I didn't know that was a thing, but I found out. The second thing I'm going to try to tackle is the entry level pay. So I have to look at what the average is nationally. And right now, I think the number I got is 85,000. Now, keep in mind, that's the average. So there are people that make more and there's significant people that make less, right? So for an example, I was talking to some people from Alberta. The entry level is 65. The average is 85, with most people around the 75 mark, right? In Ontario, it's a bit more, and in other provinces is a bit less, but I have to amalgamate that and then look at our pay scale for entry level and figure out if we can offer more. What my concern is, though, is it's really hard to take somebody who's, you know, in their mid 30s on their second career and say, hey, do you feel like joining the Army? Let me tell you all about it. It's really awesome. People at that age, if they were going to be interested in the Army, generally would have already stepped into that arena. It's not to say that we won't get anybody, but right now, there's nothing on the horizon. One person from Manitoba that I'm tracking. So not a really good vehicle for recruitment at this time. just so you know.
Right now, everybody said it here, they're posting us, where we don't want to go.
Yeah.
we have options.
Yeah, I understand you have options. I do. Right? But how do I look, you know, I don't want to rehash this because I think we already attacked everybody on this, but here's the thing. I can't look the people out in the West Coast in the face at what they're going through right now and say, sorry, I can't get you anybody because I got people in positions that aren't positions. Right? Unfortunately, part of our job in the military is to move where the job is. Not saying everybody needs to move every 3 years. That's absolutely unreasonable. And I don't want to put anybody in any hardship that's going to be unsurmountable, but that's part of our job, right? We've all been posted. Is there anybody here who's never been posted? No. I don't want to move anybody who doesn't want to go. I want you to know that right straight up. It's not my intention, but I have to figure something out. What's my what? I don't know. Oh, God.
But I think we're all kind of getting to the point where we're not going to make it. Is there any looking at maybe adjusting it, like with our level of responsibility? I have the same as the doctor, mostly. I mean, granted, I get sign off and stuff, but I still have the same patient load and have to manage more, getting to be more complex patients. And I'm probably the lowest paid clinician unit. Is there any looking at maybe?
I haven't heard anything. No.
Higher paid or to change our pay from like the logistics officer?
So what my fear is with that, I haven't seen it or heard anything about that. What my fear is, like I just said, is that the pay on the outside for PAs has to be significantly higher than what we're getting before they'll look at something like that. Like they did with the doctors back, 10, 15 years ago, our doctors were grossly underpaid compared to their counterparts. So they changed their pay scale. Right now, captain PAs make more than most PAs on the city side. Right? Like at 100 and I think what captains top out at 107 right now. Is that right? Yeah. And when the national average is like 85 to 88, like how do we go to the Treasury Board and say, no, we need more money? Now it might become a retention issue, right? And then that's where we might have a wedge for sure. I don't know how to bridge that, to be perfectly honest. Let me think about it. Let me talk to some people. But make no guarantees. But I don't think that's unreasonable to look at, especially from a retention standpoint. Yeah, that. Yeah. Yeah. But just keep in mind too, right? Like when we did this first round of commissioning, like the lieutenants went to captain what? What did you guys go to? 2? No, you went to like captain 4 or something, right? 4 or 5, right? Now what's going to happen is the lieutenants are going to go to captain 0. So there's 10, but I'm just saying there's 10 years of pay incentives in there, right? So it's not like you're going to top up instantly, which by the way, isn't necessarily a bad thing either, right? Like, instead of spending 10 years to get to 107, you get there in 5. That's not necessarily bad. Yeah. Okay. I agree. Let me talk. Yeah. And you know what? What's that? Nope. It'll never happen. They already put a big, no, not health services, by the way. That's not a health services thing. That was already discussed and it was shut down. But you're right. If our captains are going to be at that level for a greater length of time, you're right. Maybe more pay incentives would be a thing. It's going to my book.
How about responsibilities that are tied along with that pay? Because right now in a clinic, my responsibility, my patient load, like the people, that's what I'm saying. Like my patient load, there's I can think about 20 patients right now that are on my on my load that are very complex. I'm referring these patients to ortho, psych, and very complex and return to work programs. And I'm doing PCATs and TCATs. I'm doing exactly the same job as an MO is doing. For the cost of what? Half?
That is so out of my pay grade.
No, but
I see, I understand what you're saying. And actually, there's a lot of our PAs right now that are managing way more complicated cases than they ever have. One perfect example of that is the crew at Montfort. They are getting like just hammered right now.
like I'm dealing with cancer patients.
I understand. I do not think there'll be any mechanism to compensate, like you're working at that, so you get X amount more money than somebody who's working at a slower clinic, or like, I don't know how that would even work. It's completely out of my AOR. 65, actually. Yeah, you can get an accommodation of 65. I know. How that would work from a compensation standpoint, I have no idea. But if it's something you want to pursue, send me an email. No, I'll do the briefing note. You send me an email with what your problem is. Hey, I'm talking to you, Pat, focus.
Sorry.
I know, I'm trying to get at it. Listen. Send me an email, summarize what your issue is, and if you want me to bring it up, I will. Okay. But I don't control money. Not even my own. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. No, yeah. Oh, sorry, there is. Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Jamie Hernandez is asking if there's any words on PA specializing.
No. Not yet. Right now, we have to stabilize our numbers before we start spreading out and making thinning out to other things. Oh, yeah.
Why are we talking about command positions? If we don't have enough PAs to do PA jobs, how are we talking about?
Because when you get up to the colonel spot, how much clinical time do you think they're doing?
You're right, but I'm just saying, we can't specialize, but we can be COs.
Okay, you now cannot be a CO.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Anyone else? But I'm just saying those opportunities are coming on the horizon. From a specialty standpoint, we're generalists right now. What would you specialize in? Ortho? We don't have ortho spots for PAs right now. Calm. Okay. Yeah. Let's just get our PAs up to the numbers we need, get our clinical and ships filled. And then once we get back those numbers, then we can start looking at more stuff. Okay. Oh, Shane. Oh. Okay. I'd like to wrap this up because I know I was getting there. Let me, there's two quick things we're going to do. Actually, nope. Okay. There's one quick thing not quick, but one more thing. Okay. So the most important thing I want you guys to take away from this is, we're working on a number of projects right now. I know you hear that a lot, but seriously, we are. I will update you every step of the way when I get to certain plateaus. The biggest one is this PA regulation that we got to get off the ground. I've got about 6 points here that you've brought up that I will look into. You're going to send me an email, reference your pay inquiry, and I will find out where it's sitting and who's responsible for it. Okay. It's definitely not the Surgeon General, just so you know. He was gracious in saying, send him an email, but that doesn't go that direction. It goes this direction, but I'll track that down and I will brief him when I talk to him about what's going on with that. Okay. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me for anything at any time. I'm working for you guys. That's the bottom line. Okay. Sorry, is there any more questions online? Everybody's good? Okay.
Oh, no.
No, you need to, because people online need to hear too.
All right. Okay, so today's a day of remembrance, and I'd like to take this time for us to remember one of our fellow clinicians and PA and a friend, Noelle Fraser. She passed away this year of a battle with cancer. I think she'll be remembered around the world for her kindness, her sense of humor, her laughter, her generosity and selflessness. So I would like to take a minute just to remember her.
That's it. Thank you very much for your patience. I know it's been a really long day. And have a good night.